name: The Mayonnaise Jar. A professor stood before his class with some items in front of him. When the class began, he wordlessly picked up a very large and empty mayonnaise jar and proceeded to fill it with some golf balls until he could not fill in any more of the golf balls. He asked the students whether the jar was full or not. All the students unanimously agreed that it was full. The professor then picked up some small pebbles and poured them into the jar. He shook the jar lightly for the pebbles to settle down. The pebbles rolled into the open areas between the golf balls. When he thought he could no longer add more pebbles, he once asked his students whether the jar was full or not. All the students agreed it was full, and he could no longer put more of the pebbles. The professor next picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. The sand settled between the spaces left in by the pebbles. He then asked the students again if the jar was full. They agreed it was. "Do you think I can fill this jar any more?" asked the professor. "No," answered all of the students. He then took his coffee mug and poured the coffee into the jar. The sand soaked the coffee in, and any space left were filled with the coffee. The students laughed. "Now," said the professor as the laughter subsided, "I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. The golf balls represents the most important things in your life. Your family, health, friends and favorite passions. If you are left with only them, your life would still be full. The pebbles are the other things that matter, like job, house and car. The sand is everything else, the small stuff. If you put the sand into the jar first, there will be no room for the pebbles or the golf balls. The same goes for life. If you spend all the time and energy on the small stuffs, you will never have room for the things that are important to you. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Spend time with family. Spend time with your parents. Visit with grandparents. Follow your passion. There will always be time to do petty things. Take care of the golf balls in your life. Other things can easily be adjusted into the life. Set your priorities. Give time to the important things in life, because the rest is just sand." One of the students raised her hand and inquired what the water represented. The professor smiled and said, "I'm glad you asked. The water just shows you that no matter how full your life may seem, there is always room for a cup of coffee with friends." Story name: The Boiling Frog Syndrome. Put a frog in a vessel of water. Heat it. The temperature of the water will begin to rise. The frog, you will observe, will continue to adjust to the change in temperature. This adaptation will continue as the temperature increases. Just when the water is about to reach the boiling point, the frog will lose its ability to adjust. It will then make an attempt to jump. But all its effort will be in vain, because it will have used all its strength in adjusting and accommodating. And within no minute, the frog will die. What killed the frog? Most of you might think it's the boiling water, and practically it isn't incorrect. But the truth is, it was the lack of judgment of the frog to decide the right time to jump off that really killed it. There is no doubt that we all, like the frog, need to adjust with people and situations. But a time will come for us to walk away. We need to be sure when we need to adjust and when we need to confront. There are times when we face situation and need to take the appropriate action. If we allow people to exploit us physically, mentally, emotionally or financially, they will continue to do so. We have to decide when to jump. Let us jump while we still have the strength. Story name: The Emperor and a Beggar. In the dusty streets of a large city lived a beggar procuring alms and rice daily from passers-by. Most of the days, he was unable to gain enough food for a meal and enough coppers to buy some firewood to cook and keep him warm. At night, he slept under the sky with only a rag to cover him. His life was difficult, but he had grown used to it over the many years. One day, The beggar heard the news that the emperor was coming to town for a rare visit. I am sure the generous emperor will see the state I am in and grant a generous gift. The richest of all men will bestow some sympathy and relief on me in a manner that would undoubtedly surpass the paltry givings of the regular citizens, he thought. He made plans to seat himself along the route the emperor will be traversing, so that the emperor do not miss to notice the beggar's misery. He gathered all his belongings and set his spot on the street before the night before the procession. The royal caravan finally approached and stopped right in front of him around the midday. While the beggar had expected no more than a little gift to support his life on the streets from the emperor's servants, he was speechless when the cavalcade halted beside him, and the great ruler himself emerged in front of him. The emperor approached the beggar, shook the poor man's hand, touched him gently on the shoulder, and looked into his eyes. He said, "Tell me, kind sir, may I have a little gift of rice?" For a moment, the beggar didn't understand what the emperor had just said. The emperor motioned to his bowl with some rice, urging him on. "Can you please spare some grains of rice?" the powerful man insisted. The beggar could barely believe what was happening to him. He was expecting the great emperor to ask him anything. He had only a handful of grains to his name, but he was being besieged by he who had everything. The beggar slowly took the ball into his hands and stared at the little rice he had. He knew he could not deny the emperor's request by any means. He was barely able to hide his indignation, but he reluctantly counted out 5 grains of rice and dropped them into the hands of the emperor. The emperor thanked him and shook his hand once more and went on his way. Confused, hurt and angry, the beggar watched the caravan disappear into the dust and left him alone with nothing more than he had before. That night, while he was cleaning his rice for his dinner, he noticed something glinting in his bowl. He looked closer and a thrill shot through him when he pulled the tiny gold nugget out of his bowl. The gold nugget was enough for him to buy him a few months of the street. There must be more of it, he thought, and started to sift through the rice in search of more gold. He found 4 more pieces of gold nuggets inside his rice bowl. As he stared down at the small fortune in his bowl, it dawned on him there were 5 gold nuggets. 1 for each grain of rice he had offered the emperor. Story name: Monkeys and a Ladder. A group of scientists placed 5 monkeys in a cage. In the middle of the cage, they placed a ladder with bananas on the topmost stair. Every time a monkey climbed up the ladder, the scientists poured cold water over the other monkeys. After a while, every time a monkey made an attempt to climb, the others would pull it down and beat it up. As a consequence, no monkey dared to climb the ladder, disregard of the temptation to do so. The scientists then replaced one of the monkeys. The first thing this new monkey did was climbed the ladder. Immediately, the others pulled him down and beated him up. After several beatings, the new monkey learned that he wasn't supposed to climb the ladder, even though there were no evident rational reasons not to do so. The second monkey was substituted with another new one, and the same result was observed. The first monkey participated in the beating of the second monkey. A third monkey was changed, and the same thing repeated. One by one, all the monkeys were replaced. The cage then had a group of 5 entirely new monkeys. Without ever having received a cold shower, continued to beat up any monkey who attempted to climb the ladder. If it was possible to ask the monkeys why they did so, their most likely answer would be, "I don't know. It's just how things are done around here." Does that statement sound familiar to you? We will come up with some other interesting short stories. Till then, take care and be happy.